Iron Fang Gorge. No way through, no way back. Snipers ruled the ridges. Rockets stalked every slope and Shadow Team 7 was trapped inside. Seconds from annihilation. Iron Fang Gorge was death. No jet could cut through that pass and live. The crosswinds clawed at 50 knots. Even Apache gunships had flipped in that cursed canyon. But then, across the commnet, someone answered. And when the first sound rolled over the Corabel Highlands, it wasn't artillery. It was the unmistakable growl of an A-10 Warthog. Before we push deeper into this fight, soldier, check in. From what city are you watching this mission unfold? Drop it in the comments so the Brotherhood knows where you stand. And if untold stories of courage move you, lock in with us, hit subscribe, stories that salute, so you never miss the next mission. Dawn over the Corabel Highlands carved black silhouettes against a pale horizon. Peaks like the teeth of an ancient predator. The air was thin and dry, each breath tasting of dust and stone, somewhere below. Iron Fang Gorge twisted like a scar through the mountains, a place cursed by aviators for decades. Even in good weather, its gusts could throw helicopters like dice. Today the weather wasn't just bad, it was lethal. Inside the operations tent at Outpost Sentinel-4, radios spat clipped transmissions. Satellite feeds flickered across glowing monitors. A map table crowded with officers leaned under the weight of red circles and black arrows. The air carried that electric tension, the kind that told you something had gone wrong and was about to get worse. She wasn't supposed to be there. Officially, Captain Aria Morgan, callsign Iron Angel, was on standby. Her A-10 sat fueled and silent on the tarmac. No sortie scheduled. But when the radio operator looked up, lips forming the words, Iron Fang, something twisted in her chest. Colonel Marcus Hale stabbed a finger onto the map. Shadow Team 7 is pinned here, east slope. 15 fortified positions dug in along the ridge. No air corridor open. If they can't move in 5 minutes, they're gone. An Air Force captain shook his head. No bird survives that wind. You try it. You're rolling dice on a crash. The words left her mouth before she even realized. The hog can make it. Every head turned. Silence hit the tent. Hale's eyes narrowed. You understand, Captain, there's no authorization. You go in there. You're on your own. Morgan didn't flinch. Then I guess I'm on my own. Helmet under her arm, flight suit half-zipped, she strode across the tarmac. Master Sergeant Keller jogged beside her, already hauling ammo belts for the GAU-8 Avenger and slinging Mavericks into place. The Warthog waited ugly to some, beautiful to those who understood. She climbed the ladder. Harness clicked. Canopy hissed shut. Engines roared awake, a growl and a promise. Then comms crackled. They're moving in 2 minutes before breach. Morgan shoved the throttles forward. The hog leapt down the runway. The mountains rose like a wall of teeth, and Iron Fang Gorge waited hungry. From the ops tent, the icon of her A-10 crept across the tactical map. Colonel Hale muttered about insubordination, but Morgan didn't hear. All she felt was the gorge, its ridges, its teeth, its kill zone swallowing her people. The only thing that mattered was the sound of her cannon breaking that valley before Shadow Team 7 was erased. The first glimpse of Iron Fang filled her canopy like the mouth of a stone giant. Jagged peaks leaned inward, black rock streaked with snow and shadow. The sky narrowed to a ribbon. Wind screamed through the gap, slamming her sideways so hard the harness cut into her shoulders. She adjusted calm hands, small corrections, flying with the air instead of against it. Her finger hovered near the trigger, one pass that was all most pilots ever hoped for. And if she nailed it, maybe one would be enough. Iron Fang had a reputation. It had flipped Apaches, broken cargo planes, and turned back medevac crews who would fly into hell for anyone else. The wind shear was a living thing. jerking at her wings. Flying here was like threading a needle while someone tried to slap it from your hand. But Morgan pushed the throttles forward. The hog responded with a deeper growl, as if it shared her intent. Her eyes swept the canyon walls, searching for the shimmer of glass, the metallic blink of a tube, and her headset. Shadow Team's comms cracked short bursts, voices tight, angles lost. Then came the hollow cough of an RPG launch. A scream. Static. She banked hard. The wall of the gorge filled her canopy until she felt she could reach out and touch it. And there, faint but clear, a muzzle flash, perfectly placed to rake the slope where her team was trapped. Her thumb slid over the weapon selector. She could hear her instructor's voice. You don't fire the GAU-8 unless you're ready to change the landscape. The hog's nose dipped. The ridge climbed fast in her sight line, too fast for comfort, but Morgan stayed locked in. Shadow Team 7 heads down. 10 seconds. Below. The commandos ducked deeper into shattered rock. One lifted his head just in time to see the A-10 break free of shadow, sharkmouth paint flashing, sunlight sparking on the canopy for a heartbeat. It looked unreal. Then came the sound. The GAU-8 Avenger didn't just fire, it roared. A hammer in the chest, a quake in the bones. The first burst tore the rock shelf apart, shredding the sniper nest into dust. A second walked fire down the ridge, ripping apart firing points invisible from the ground. From her seat, it was surgical. On the ground. It felt like the mountain itself had turned against their enemy. She pulled up hard, canyon walls closing fast. G-forces clawed at her vision, black creeping in at the edges. Smoke curled from the shattered slope. Ridge clear, for now. Move before they regroup. Relief cracked through comms. Copy that. Iron Angel. And hell of an entrance. Morgan didn't answer. Compliments were for after the war. She shoved the hog into a wide loop, eyes narrowing on the gorge, because she knew one pass had bought survival. But Iron Fang was far from finished. The hog leveled into open sky, her engines rumbling like restrained thunder. Smoke trailed from the shattered ridgeline below. But Aria Morgan knew it wasn't enough. Shadow Team 7 was moving uphill now, exposed to the far slope where new fighters were already dragging RPG tubes and machine guns into position. The enemy wasn't going to wait for her. They wanted to set the trap before her second run. She banked wide, riding the brutal crosswinds away from the stone walls to buy room for a turn. Keller. Talk to me. She called into comms. Bird's clean, came the reply from Outpost Sentinel 4. 50 seconds of Avenger left. Mavericks are hot. Winds picked up another 10 knots at the mouth. Morgan smiled grimly. Bad news to most pilots. To her, it was a rhythm to be solved. The first ingress had mapped the gust cadence, 7 to 9 seconds of hammering turbulence, then 3 seconds of lull along the north wall. Most aviators felt only chaos. She surfed the pattern. Below. Shadow Team 7 staggered along the tree line, over comms. The medic's voice cracked. Doc, here we're exposed. Shifting north. Iron Angel. Keep them off our backs. She rolled the hog left, the horizon tilting hard, ribs compressed under G-forces as mountains and sky swapped places in her canopy. Her right hand feathered the throttle, balancing speed against control. She wasn't just lining up another run. She was preparing to carve the ridge in half without touching the team sprinting below. Iron Fang rose to meet her again. The wind slammed her sideways, but this time she was ready. Micro-corrections on pedals and stick. She slid with the gust instead of against it. Her HUD lit with red markers, 6 enemy positions dug into the far slope. The highest nest had a perfect angle down to her men. Shadow 7. Heads down, she warned. Voice steady. This is going to get loud. She shoved the hog into a dive. Rock, snow, shadow blurred together, her thumb pressed down. The GAU-8 Avenger thundered to life. A storm of depleted uranium tore through the high nest, then walked fire across the ridge. Fighters scattered too late. One dove behind a boulder, the boulder itself shattered into jagged shrapnel. Her altitude alarm wailed. She yanked the stick back, body crushed into the seat as black narrowed her vision. The hog clawed sky. Her breath hissed through clenched teeth. "Ridge clear," she forced out. "You're good to move." Relief cracked over the net. "Copy. Iron Angel." Rook pushing the slope extraction in sight. Morgan circled wide. The gorge smoked beneath her. But she knew better than to celebrate. Valleys like Iron Fang always hid their teeth. And sure enough, 30 seconds later, she spotted it, a truck-mounted launcher grinding into position higher up the far slope. This time wasn't about survival. This time was about ending the fight. The launcher tilted upward. Crew scrambling to lock its tubes on the ridgeline where Shadow Team 7 clawed for altitude, if it fired. The whole team would be torn apart before reaching extraction. Morgan rolled the hog onto her side, exhaling once, letting her pulse steady. The gorge was a coffin for anyone who hesitated. She dove back toward its narrow throat. "Keller," she said, "you've got 30 seconds of Avenger. 2 Mavericks live. Make it count." The hog screamed into Iron Fang, wings flexing as the canyon walls rushed in. The turbulence struck in savage bursts, but she was already inside its rhythm slip left. Rudder tap. Roll steady through the lull. Her crosshairs painted the launcher. Shadow 7. Down again. 10 seconds. On the slope. Doc shoved Rook behind cover, both men bracing as the Predator descended. Morgan squeezed the trigger. The GAU-8 roared, rounds ripping the highest nests apart in fountains of rock and dust. Fighters scrambled, her fire walked after them with surgical precision. The launcher crew barely had time to look up. A streak of fire left her wing, and AGM-65 Maverick lanced across the gorge and slammed into the truck. The explosion turned stone and steel into a rolling wave of smoke. Her warning klaxon screamed altitude vanishing. She hauled back on the stick, the hog shuddering as it skimmed the far wall by less than 100 feet. Vision tunneled black, then cleared. She broke into open sky, engines howling defiance. "Ridge clear. You're free to move." She called, steady but clipped. This time the reply was sharper, urgent with relief. "Copy that. Shadow Team surging to exfil. Iron Angel, we owe you our lives." She didn't answer. Compliments were for after the war. Morgan banked high, circling over the valley. Smoke curled from shattered emplacements, debris tumbling down into the tree line. Every vibration through the stick told her the hog was alive, ready if she chose to dive again. But she held. She knew Iron Fang's reputation, its ability to hide a final bite until you thought the fight was over. So she waited, eyes scanning the ridges. And just when the silence seemed to settle, movement flickered high above. Another crew, dragging equipment into place. Not an RPG, not a machine gun, something larger. Morgan's lips tightened beneath her visor. She wasn't finished. Not yet. The lights dimmed, and helmet cam footage from one of the pinned-down commandos filled the projection screen. The camera shook as its wearer crouched behind a boulder, rifle fire rattling overhead. Then faint at first came a low, steady rumble. The audio spiked as it grew louder, the mic struggling to capture the frequency. The hog appeared in a gray blur against the canyon wall, flying so low it seemed to scrape the rock. The GAU-8 Avenger's growl tore through Iron Fang Gorge, each burst walking across enemy positions with almost mechanical precision. Dust and stone erupted in sequence, as if some invisible hand were sweeping the ridge clean. The jet vanished beyond the far slope before the echoes faded. Silence followed. Then, in the recording, a commando's voice cracked through the net hoarse. Disbelieving. That first pass, that's the one that saved us. The official report would later read mission accomplished in 2 passes, but for the men trapped on that ridge. The legend began and ended with 1. When the lights came back on, no one spoke for a long moment. Finally, General Harris broke the silence. That was a no-fly zone for a reason. She realized the risk in that wind shear. A voice answered from down the table. She realized it. "Sir." She just didn't care, not with Shadow Team 7 seconds from being overrun. Another officer leaned forward. "Her file says this isn't the first time. Different canyon. Different year, same story. She doesn't wait for permission when lives are measured in seconds." Harris exhaled slowly. "Fine. Write it up. Commendation for valor. But next time she pulls this, she's off my roster." The threat rang hollow. Everyone in the room knew the truth. Few pilots could, or would, attempt what she had just done. Back on the flight line, Morgan traced a gloved hand over the Hog's dust-caked fuselage, pausing at a fresh scratch along the wing grit from the stone she had flown too close to. Keller broke the silence. "They're calling it impossible. Some say you rewrote the manual." Her eyes stayed on the scar. "I didn't rewrite anything. Manuals don't matter when you're already too late. Outside." The base settled into restless quiet. A loose circle of commandos laughed the laughter of survival. One sergeant, arm bandaged, kept glancing toward the A-10 as if needing proof it. And its pilot were still there, across encrypted comms. The story spread. In one version, she flew low enough to shear the ridge with her wingtips. In another, her cannon fire cut weapons from the hands of the men holding them. Morgan never corrected any of it. Soldiers needed legends, later that night. She walked the tarmac alone. Stars burned cold above the Corabel highlands. Her fingertips rested against the Hog's scarred nose. "We did good work today," she whispered. In the end, it wasn't just firepower that saved them. It was one pilot's refusal to turn back. Some battles are written in reports. Others are remembered in the sky.